Visit any stately home in Britain and you'll be confronted by buildings like this. Follies, monuments, temples in the landscape, placed here in a quirky, romantic, aristocratic belief in lost ancient virtues, in the values of an age long gone. Of course, to our mind, these buildings are exactly that. They are just follies. And they were never built to be lived in, of course. I mean, look at it. Who'd want to do that?
The Vale of Aylesbury in Buckinghamshire is a great rolling open landscape. It is splendidly dotted with grand country estates from another age. Just the right hunting ground for an architectural folly.
And what a sight. I mean, that's what I call a ruin and a half.
It may have the shape of an ancient Tudor tower, but this mini castle wasn't built for defense. It was, in fact, built 250 years ago to house a gentleman's fossil collection. Of course, now it's become something of a relic itself.
I mean, it is a building that doesn't want to stand up anymore. It just wants to sort of fall over in two big halves. But it's not going to, because I think its owners are going to try and repair it.
Those enterprising owners who want to revive the folly are Mimi and Jimmy Fernandez, who met 6 years ago in Madrid.
Madrid is a great city because it's the best city in the world. The people, architecture, tradition, and it's a city where I met Mimi. So, couldn't get better than that.
Jimmy's just got so much energy. He makes things happen. He's a doer, he's proactive and gets things done.
As an architect, Jimmy has designed a handful of new-built houses, but his passion is for great ancient architecture.
I love old buildings. The more run down, the better, because I can see the potential on those buildings and what they could become again.
For Jimmy, the prospect of restoring the old Castle Folly in Buckinghamshire is a childhood dream come true.
I have always wanted to live in a castle since I was very young, and finally I've got my chance.
We've got a huge challenge ahead of us. It's going to be a big deal.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
We will do it.
As we always do.
Jimmy and Mimi are now based in the UK and have taken a short-term lease on a rental bungalow a few miles from the Folly. Mimi's a former teacher, and she looks after their son George, who's nearly 2. She's also 5 months pregnant with their second child.
Baby in here?
It's not great timing for anyone taking on a demanding restoration project.
Hello.
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 What on earth made you choose to do this?
My parents were local and I used to pass this all the time. I did used to think it's so sad that it is in this ruinous state and why doesn't anyone do anything with it? And I thought it's the sort of project that we could take on.
You must also like a fight as well, because to actually take a building like this...
I am a fighter, yeah.
It's just such a magical place. You know, we both fell in love with it and both very passionate about restoring it.
I mean, this comes with old buildings, the great old buildings and great sites, is that there is a power of place.
Not just the building, but the site. This is an archaeological interest site. There was a Saxon burial found right there. I'm quite scared when digging trenches because we might find something.
So how much do you pay for it?
100,000
With no planning permission?
with zero planning permission.
And you're laughing.
Because we made it. It took me 1 year to get planning, but got it.
To get permission, Jimmy and Mimi agreed not to add to the original footprint of the folly. So their new home will be exquisite, characterful, and very small. When it was built in the 1760s, this faux castle had 3 simple timber floors. A catastrophic fire in the late 1800s destroyed the wooden interior, and so began the cycle of decline. It was abandoned for 200 years, and weather badly eroded every stone and every inch of mortar, until 8 years ago, the council inserted a ring beam of red brick to tie it together and avoid total collapse. Jimmy and Mimi's project will start with trenches for utilities before they can begin work on the crumbling stone walls. Inside, they'll make a compact kitchen out of what will be a lower ground floor. The upper floors will be supported on steelwork that will slot into the old walls. On the first floor, the octagonal lounge will offer countryside views from every window, with just enough room for an open fireplace. The second floor, the grandest, will have the tallest ceilings and offer the best views from 2 bedrooms, each with a compact ensuite. Jimmy wants to reinstate a spiral staircase squeezed into the east turret that'll lead up to the roof, which will serve as a lookout among the oak tree canopy. And a reinstated grand staircase will complete this project, for which they have a modest budget, £200,000, that comes from the sale of a previous home.
So the 200 grand covers everything on the project, whole project budget, yeah?
Yeah, it does.
Including living.
Including your fees as an architect, in other words.
Yeah.
So, and who's doing it?
I was planning on bringing 3 guys from Spain.
And how much are you doing?
A lot, probably.
Okay, and are you project managing as well?
Yes,
Yeah. So you're architect, project manager, builder.
Jack of all trades.
Yeah. How much experience have you had of conservation building with stone buildings?
1. This one.
This one, yeah. When do you hope to move in?
Over the summer.
For sure, as quick as we can. I mean,
6 months.
That is very. Yeah, 6 months could be.
I reckon.
Not betting.
I couldn't possibly say, but it's not 6 months.
Let's try to do it and see if it was impossible or not.
I won't hold you to it, Jimmy.
Okay.
I'll just stand back in admiration.
It's clear that Jimmy is a wide-eyed optimist. It's not only his ludicrously short schedule, he's also given up work, so his family will survive by dipping into their build budget. And all of this with no experience of restoration.
Here's a historic buildings joke. How many conservation officers does it take to change a light bulb? To which the answer is, what do you mean, change? And there you have, in a nub, the dilemma of this building. You know, all the distinctions between conservation, repair, restoration, dramatic reconstruction, new build, all these things actually pale into insignificance in comparison to the fact that this place is going to undergo change. It's going to stop being a ruin, it's going to start being a house. This place is never going to look the same again, at least not in my lifetime.
Just a few weeks after my visit, Jimmy cracks straight into his supposed 6-month programme, starting with the trenches for power, water and sewerage. But this is an old Saxon burial ground, so the planning conditions dictate that Jimmy has to pay an archaeologist to examine every bucket of earth the digger brings up.
Fairly modernish, probably 18th century, 17th century tile. So we'll keep that one.
It's a very slow process because of the archaeology. And every day that they're here, it's another 400 or 500 quid. So everything moves much slower. And if we find something, then it's everything like sort of stops, and then it's like, what do we do now?
Oh, look. Oh, we're lucky.
Oh, look. Oh, a shoe!
2 days in, and Jim is learning that work on ancient buildings is a slow and expensive business. Lessons that have already been learnt just half a mile away at Dinton Hall. This was the family home of Sir John Van Hatton, the man who built Mimi and Jimmy's Folly as part of his estate. And 20 years ago, this too was a derelict shell.
Oh, this is a beautifully detailed restoration. Somewhat sets the bar a little high for Jimmy, eh?
The current owner who took charge of the restoration is Richard Van Bergen.
How long did this take to do this?
This whole
project?
thing?
Yeah.
This whole thing took about 10 years, just under.
10 years of your
10
time.
years of my time.
Yeah.
Yes. Which
What
I
is-
regret.
Do you?
Yes.
Too much.
Too much. Too long. You can't get time back. I think I went through 3 architects, 2 builders, 3 quantity surveyors.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I had to do a lot of it myself. If we'd done it the way in which the listed buildings officer wanted, it would have taken 100 years to do this job.
Wow.
No kidding. Shall I tell you how much?
Go on.
Nearly 10 million quid.
To do this. 10 years, 10 million quid to repair this building.
Yeah.
That's a very fine job. It's a very beautiful job as a result.
If I were to have it valued, I might not get my money back.
During the restoration of this building, Richard found documents written by Sir John Van Hatton about the building of the Castle Folly.
1769, he says, laid the foundation stone of Dinton Castle. 3 years later, in 1772, he says, found entrenching the ground about the castle a glass cup and skeleton and many human bones, broken spears and bits of swords and other weapons. What he'd obviously discovered was the Saxon grave underneath the site, which he dutifully then just put back in the ground and buried, only for Jimmy to then dig it up all over again.
Nobody took too much notice of Saxon bones in the 18th century. But today, buried bodies on building sites can bring a project to a dead halt.
What's that?
Well, you've got something coming here, look. See the dark fill here?
Yes.
Well, that could be a grave. Yeah,
This is the
a grave.
shape.
That's a grave cut, yeah.
Well, the situation is that we've discovered some bones.
We've got some skull fragments and part of a pelvis.
If we then have to apply to get them moved and lifted, it could potentially take us 3 weeks.
2 days in, and Jimmy's 6-month schedule is already under pressure.
I do not regret anything yet, but so many times think like, what am I doing? Where am I getting into?
Just 2 days into a 6-month schedule, and work at Jimmy and Mimi's Buckinghamshire Folly has begun to reveal its buried secrets.
We found some bones. We are not allowed to touch them, and the option would be getting an exhumation license or trying a different trench, hoping not to find anything.
The team start digging the only remaining path for the main sewage pipe.
If we find anything here, our options to dig a different trench do not exist.
It's an anxious wait. But Jimmy gets lucky, and there are no more bones to be found. But a job that would normally take a few hours has taken closer to 2 weeks. And the total cost for groundworks is £30,000, double what Jimmy was expecting. His inexperience is beginning to tell.
I'm still thinking that I would be moving in this summer. Impossible is nothing.
By late spring, with the groundworks thankfully complete, Jimmy begins to source stone to repair his castle walls.
We're looking for grey and gold. This is good. This is the kind of stone we're looking for. In fact, I want this back.
The colour of the stone is as important to the planners as how they're used. But the expert Spanish stonemasons Jimmy had lined up to do the job have been in touch.
I've been let down by my Spanish guys. When my Spanish guys said, "Oh, we're very sorry, we're starting a big job," they killed me. I was demolished there. A bit panicky. Now I'm working with a team that I don't know. They're quite young, and yeah, that is a bit scary.
The hastily appointed new building team will install the steels, the roof and the floors. But first, let's see how they get on with the stonework.
I've never worked on something this old and so unique. It is a learning curve for us. It is a big learning curve.
And Jimmy's dedication to the project isn't making life easy for them.
Yeah, this is much better.
Jimmy loves touching every piece of stone, so I won't build a wall on this castle on my own. Jimmy will be beside me, I suppose.
Unlike the builders, Mimi's had much more time to grow accustomed to Jimmy's micromanaging.
I just don't look too much into the way he works because he is a bit more ad hoc and I have quite a different way of working. Kind of boggles my mind.
We are more or less on schedule. Shit, I forgot calling the ecologist. A lot on my mind. I really need to call this guy. Hello. Hello? Oh, hello, good afternoon. Is this Dale in the office? Dale or... Hello? Can you hear me? Hello?
This project already sits in the balance between the inexperience of everyone here and the sheer drive, control and vision of Jimmy.
No, I'm telling you. This is the way to do it.
Jimmy's hard to work with because he wants everything done the way he sees it in his head, and some things you can't do in your head.
For more than 3 months, Jimmy has dedicated himself to every detail of this building.
3 yellows, 2 red, 2 lime.
But on the home front, Mimi's just 1 month from her due date, and understandably, she wants her husband at home.
Oh, Jack!
Unfortunately, I've just had a really bad pregnancy. It has been a very intense month, and I do find that hard. So I have said, you know, from now on, like, I try and have at least 1 day at home, so we've got some time as a family.
As Jimmy is carrying so much of this project in his head, only he really knows the precise detail of what's needed.
Bobby!
So when he does finally take 1 day off, things inevitably start to go wrong.
Sunday, I didn't come. I took it off. I shouldn't have done it, but I did.
In Jimmy's absence, the timber roof structure was installed. But instead of draining to a middle gully, the pouring rain runs off to the side, where it could damage the stonework.
All we need to do is rip it up and start again. We're not the first to make a mistake anyway.
If you don't come for a whole day, this is what happened. Damn it. Never happen again.
After 3 days of extra work, this project reaches an important milestone.
Since yesterday, this cannot longer be called a ruin, as we have a roof.
With the roof and the basic stonework complete, the next step is to restore the more detailed stonework, all in agreement with the planning conditions.
What we're doing is trying to keep as much as historic fabric as we can. Obviously, we need to do a very good job, or we could end up hung by the ears.
Replacing detailed masonry like window sills is usually a time-consuming business that requires highly accurate masonry. Remarkably, Jimmy has a secret weapon, a perfect digital model of his site.
The good thing about this is it's to scale. We made this in one morning, in a couple of hours.
Seriously?
They just come with the scanner, position it in a different location, perfect accurate measurement of every single thing.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
I mean, we can see all the fireplaces. This is the staircase. With this 3D scanning, there hasn't been any surprises. This is the future of conservation.
Using the precise measurement of the 3D scan, Jimmy has developed computer models of his missing masonry. In an Oxfordshire stone yard, there's a piece of 21st century innovation that's waiting to be fed Jimmy's digital design.
Ah, this is elemental stuff. This is where people take slices of rock dug out of the ground and then saw them up in machines like that. But there is one piece of technology here that I think sort of takes the biscuit. It's one of Britain's very few 360-degree stone-cutting robots.
This impressive robotic arm has multi-axis flexibility and can carve the most intricate shape from the hardest of stones. It costs £5,000 and takes just a few days to carve 30 precise replicas, which it seems have saved this project time and money. Now centuries-old sills sit alongside robo-cut ironstone.
It goes, right? Old, 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 new, old, new, old, new, old. That's great, and that's kind of just putting back the teeth and conserving what's there.
I'm very proud of this work, I have to say. I'm loving it.
No,
and, a very good match with the mortar.
You deserve to be proud. It's a very elegantly finished thing. It's nice.
There is, among the apparent inexperience, some beautiful and careful repair work being done here that the planners are happy to sign off. But that's just the stonework. This building is still a shell without floors or windows, hence a change of plan.
We have had to renovate the contract of the house we're renting for another 6 months. So we've got until the 22nd of December.
Are you burning through your budget?
No, I'm using my budget. It goes quick because we're moving quick.
How much is in the bank?
Got 80,000.
Yeah, the 80,000 is going to run out. So what happens then?
It shouldn't run out. I mean, it would run out. I mean, we've got enough to finish. Oh, this is what I do. I mean, this is my job.
I utterly respect that. I'm also very aware that when clients ask their architects how much something's going to cost, the answer is usually fairly wide of the mark.
I would say it's under control. If not, I'll ask you for money.
You can ask all you like.
But with no income, more rent to pay and a new baby due in just a few weeks, my word, it's now the meagre 80,000 in the bank that poses the biggest threat here. Three months into their restoration of their old folly, Jimmy and Mimi have already spent over half of their £200,000 budget.
Right, come on, let's do it properly.
My main concern is that we're going to have the money to get it done for Christmas.
Don't worry. It's got to be fine.
The external stonework is complete, and the floors can be fitted into the jagged shell. Despite a lack of experience and a frenetic energy, this project is starting to deliver.
Talk about speed, this is remarkable. I was really concerned that this was going to turn out to be some kind of poorly done pig's ear, but it is glorious so far.
Externally, this castle is a finely balanced repair job. Inside, it's moved on too.
Oh, a proper room. What a joy. I mean, actually, to be able to stand on a floor in the building and have a ceiling and be enclosed, it's great. However, this is a floor that's going to get divided, isn't it? This is the bedroom floor.
Unfortunately.
So where are the walls going to go?
Right
On the middle, divided.
Oh, right,
on
right in
the
the middle of the fireplace. You get half a fireplace each. Yeah.
This is a wardrobe.
She's actually-
This
yeah.
is
Okay.
our storage.
Okay. And the big question is, how do you get the stairs to wind in that gap all the way up to the roof?
Oh, that is a question that I cannot answer here right now.
Bonkers, because it's how high?
I will in a couple of weeks.
But just as Jim is about to start the internal fit-out, life gets in the way.
Lucas arrived on July the 12th. It's gone really, really quickly. A bit of a blur.
Estás aquí atento.
For those first weeks, Jimmy was very much home-based, working, but kind of able to support with the kids as well. If he'd been on site, I think it would have been much more tricky.
In fact, Jimmy doesn't get back on site until mid-autumn, just 3 months before the family have to be out of their rented house. The scaffolding may be down, but little else has changed.
Just thinking how much work. Underfloor heating, blah, 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 the flooring, stonework first, the plumbing, bloody hell.
And time isn't the only pressure. The reservoir of money is also running low.
I think there's less than 50 to finish. Much less than 50.
With a half-finished folly and no income, Jimmy can't borrow from the bank. So he's asked his family in Spain for a loan. Money that will go towards installing his intricate 4-storey staircase.
It is such a narrow space, but thanks to the 3D scan and 2 months on the computer, I managed to make the design and cut the pieces. So now the staircase is cut. I don't know yet if it would fit or not. I'm a bit nervous about that.
Before the timber staircase is fitted, Jimmy needs to make the house watertight. So the next big job is the windows. Getting them fitted is a big step forward, but there's now just 5 weeks until they have to move.
We always live on the edge. I think we'll do it on time, but again, it's going to be so tight.
A few weeks later, with the clock ticking, the staircase is finally brought to sight.
Are we ready?
Finally have stairs going. It's like Jimmy's masterpiece. Let's hope they fit.
Give it a shot, that's it.
Over 4 days, assembled sections are slotted onto stainless steel rods, which have been drilled and bonded into the awkward old walls. Jimmy's super accurate computer modelling seems to have turned out to be, well, super accurate.
The staircase fit really well, millimetric. I was surprised myself.
Should be.
With a staircase and a weather-tight building, Jimmy can make a start on the first fix electrics and the internal walls.
Got a little stove, burning money. It's every day is super expensive. It's like, I don't know, I don't even want to know.
Mimi and the children have been promised a house in just over 2 weeks.
Wow. Oh, lovely.
Not surprisingly, they keep visiting to check up.
You need to do all around the bottom. You think you should get on and finish that, or what have you been doing?
But for Jimmy, it's a case of too little, too late.
I'm exhausted. We have achieved a lot. Not super happy because we're not going to make it on time. It's just a couple of weeks,
3 days before Christmas, Jimmy and Mimi are forced out of their rented house. The whole family have to go to Spain to stay with Jimmy's parents. A short-term solution while there's still so much to do 1,000 miles away.
Kitchen. You haven't got listed down there, have you?
What? The kitchen? Oh, no.
I don't think moving in without the kitchen installed is going to be a very sensible thing, to be honest.
Okay, well then I need to get on with that. going back to the UK to finish, and quite scared. 2 weeks is very tight to have it like properly finished. It would be finished and habitable, and we will move in with the kids on that date. And I promise you that.
Bullshit. I think we're all eager to be in now and have our own space again. So the pressure is really on to get it ready.
Mimi, I love you.
I love you, babe. Good luck, okay?
I'll have.
We have it done.
Adios, Lucas.
We want to move in, don't we? When we get back.
Yes.
Jimmy is committed to returning on his own to get the castle habitable in just 2 weeks, which seems to me wildly optimistic.
Back in England, the weather's changed. Everything's a mess, but it's just stuff. Sitting room, another bomb site.
Jimmy's original building team are now unavailable. His only help on site is Mimi's dad, a retired vicar.
This one?
Yes.
Oh, I see, right. Where does that rubber ring go then? Jim doesn't always communicate what the agenda is. It's in his mind, but it's in nobody else's.
Almost inevitably, Jimmy misses his deadline, and 2 weeks later the castle is still unfit for habitation. Mimi and the children are back from Spain and are staying with her parents, while all their possessions are stuffed into a friend's garage. For Mimi, the constantly slipping moving date is proving unbearable.
So all this stuff is in here waiting to go in. When can it go into the house?
Well, I've had everyone I meet, all my friends, everyone's asking the same question and starting to lose it really, because it's been a couple of weeks, and nothing. It's really, really hard.
When should I come back? How long should I leave you alone for?
I don't know. I really have no idea. I've stopped answering that question when we're going to be in, because it's just don't really want expectations at the moment.
You going to be able to forgive the building?
That's a good question. Yeah, there's moments where I really hate it, actually. I think I've walked up there a few times and just said, Jimmy, I don't want to see this again, get rid of it. And it's still without a kitchen, still without kind of basics that we need. It's been exhausting, actually, in so many ways, so.
Yeah. Wow.
Hopefully we're coming out the other end now.
Yeah.
Mimi is experiencing the agony that old buildings inflict, as they refuse to conform to anything as prosaic as budget or schedule. Jimmy, however, has to defiantly ignore that agony.
When do you think you'll be in?
I couldn't say.
No,
couple of weeks.
Yeah, but you said that in January to Mimi, and you were saying.
So yeah, I'm now sound like a proper builder in 2 weeks. 2 weeks time.
There are thousands of things to do.
I know.
You feeling mad, stressed, crazy?
I'm feeling positive as always.
Yeah, I know you are. Yeah,
I am a positive man. There's optimism and love, and
those are the things that matter in life. Okay. Have you explained that to your wife?
Yeah. I try to explain it every day.
Good.
Yeah.
That's an important thing to do. Old buildings are a little bit like elderly relatives. They can be just curmudgeonly and difficult to deal with, smelly and damp. Like this place. No wonder Mimi has come to, well, almost hate it, to resent it, not comprehending why Jimmy is so positive, why he drives forward with such energy. But he has to, doesn't he? Because these projects only happen because of positive human energy, because of ridiculous levels of optimism. I just hope that the pair of them kind of remember to stay together on the way through.
When Mimi and Jimmy Fernandez first began the slow conversion of their ruined folly into a 2-bedroomed house, They had no idea they were at the start of the most frenetic and stressful period of their lives. Now, 15 months since I first met them, the dust has begun to settle. The site is wooded with oak trees and now eccentrically fenced with windfallen timber.
Not building a wall, using just an old tree trunk. That's typical Jimmy, isn't it? It's bonkers. Although the building is much more grown up and it looks rather good. It is a beautiful miniature castle.
This folly has sprung alive again. Its windows glint. Its walls are brighter, battered and bruised with time, but now delicately repaired with lime mortar. And it has a new grand staircase and a new birthday.
Ha ha ha! Hello.
Hi.
What an arrival. I thoroughly expected you to be descending in monogrammed slippers somehow. King and Queen of your castle. You're both in?
Yes, since early March.
Slightly later than Christmas. Slightly later than the first original 6-month plan, but it's all water under the bridge. Doesn't matter now, does it really? When we spoke last, you were not in love with this building.
No,
you
it was
were hating it.
a tough moment because we weren't, we'd moved out of the rental property. We still didn't quite know when we'd move in. It was a really, really tough time. So at that point, yeah, I wasn't in love with it at all. But it's warming on.
Good. And you know what? Better to blame the building than blame him. It's good to see.
We've survived.
Good.
Yeah, a project like this really tests a relationship to the boundary. So, and we made it. So, well done.
Jimmy's clear, rational treatment of the outside marked him out as a skilled architect. Though it was always going to be harder to make the inside into clean, usable space.
Ooh, oh, very, very nice. Looks great.
But it looks like he might have cracked it.
Hey, I like your handrail.
I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, no, it's a nicely done thing.
The kitchen is a lot more spacious than I ever imagined it would be.
There's plenty of room for a table. And you have a charming utility room.
Yeah.
And a charming swing.
Yeah.
And the stove fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Almost as though you made the fireplace 300 years ago to fit the stove.
Exactly.
You can't be too precious about this building, can you? It is quite rough and ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like us.
And we exactly.
I don't think it would be right for everything to be perfect. I think part of the kind of beauty of this is that it has these rough features because you kind of melted into this like amazing vistas.
I want the full castle tour.
Yeah.
How mysterious, how enticing. I do like the way the staircase kind of sort of takes you through the building. It kind of, it pulls you through the building. Look at this. Nice to live in a castle, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And up here, lighter.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 360 view. It's amazing. You can see everywhere.
Magic to be able to see as you do in this room, to have views like this.
Remarkable. I didn't think I'd say this, but this room is big. You could get 15 or 20 people in here for a party.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Looking forward to that. The walls are very powerful. There's so much going on. The stone, mix of stone and brick. All the graffitis around the wall.
Well, I suppose had you plastered, that wouldn't be visible, would it? You wouldn't have that.
Well, exactly. That would be such a shame. It was me against the world. Everybody was like, "You're not leaving the walls like that."
Even me, to be fair.
It would have been much easier just to plaster everything. But no, I decided to keep it.
When local youths scrawled their initials in these walls, they had no idea they were decorating Jimmy and Mimi's living room. But of course, Jimmy has left his mark here too. in his very delicate adding of the new against the old and crumbling. That juxtaposing of ancient and modern is nowhere better expressed than in the winding turret staircase that Jimmy struggled with for so long.
You know, normally staircases in buildings are annoying and just take up a lot of space. Yeah, the staircase is sort of, it's part of the magic, the romance of the building, isn't it? Of a castle. It took a while to resolve this, but all really well-resolved things feel so natural, feels right. And I really do like the fact that they are built out of giant plywood chunks,
Yeah.
you know, laminated, glued together, very simple and powerful, with all the bolts showing, you know, as basic as an old-fashioned cantilevered stone staircase would be.
Above the sitting room are the two grand bedrooms.
Oh, this is nice. You see, any sense of compromise and division doesn't register because the windows are taller on this floor and the ceilings are so much higher. You got en suites as well?
And both.
Yes.
It was the way to save space. You would have had to have a corridor, or you would have to come to the landing to go to the bathroom. At the end, this was the best solution, in my opinion.
From the bedrooms, the staircase winds its way through the turret to the roof. A fitting observation deck.
I do like this space up here. And there's something about being up in the canopy, isn't there, as well, which is a different sort of relationship with the trees, with the site.
I do get that sense, you know, of being in sort of almost in a tree house because you're so surrounded by trees. Just a really nice feeling, actually. Such a peaceful space to be.
Looking forward to start enjoying it.
I think you guys need to kind of just
Start chilling a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a small house, but its thick walls have needed so much work. For what usable space they have, this has been an expensive project.
How much money have you got left?
It's a bit embarrassing, but the other day I went to McDonald's, I couldn't pay.
So not much in your account?
No.
So how much did you spend in the end on it?
It's around 300.
Okay. Which is expensive, but this is a building with a lot of material, a lot of wall, a lot of stuff going on. And all of it in another culture, in your second language as well.
Well, yeah, I mean, at the beginning, when I started with the planning, with all the planning process, I used to work with a translator and a dictionary. So it was like, I mean, even easy words that you say, oh, a joist. Well, I didn't know how you said biretta.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And then there's different construction systems.
And there were times when it seemed like you were kind of losing your grip on the project, that it was kind of spinning out of control almost.
Yeah, there were many times that I thought that I was losing control. But I feel proud. It looks great.
Yeah, it's very successful, I think. Would you do another project of this kind?
I have been thinking of that a lot, in fact. And what I think is that I will not do it for myself, because that involves all my family and all the too much stress. I would do it for work.
A new baby, a new home, and a possible new career in restoration. The changes wrought in Mimi and Jimmy's lives have followed the changes in fortune of this place.
So you saved the building, and what have been the reactions of people since the change has happened?
I think
Very positive. Yes.
That's great, you rehearsed that well. Yeah.
Well, overwhelmingly positive, actually. I think it generated a huge amount of interest because, I mean, it's been a ruin. And to see it actually come to life again has really excited people, I think. You know, we've constructed something now that is going to hopefully be standing for a long time to come. It's been heart and soul, really, hasn't it? You've poured everything into this. I think that really,
challenging.
You know, is incredibly impressive.
After centuries of decay, this place very nearly ceased to exist. Mimi and Jimmy saved it.
Was this fossil of a building a folly to take on? Well, no, not according to the conservation officer who loves it, or the planning committee, who are very proud of it, or all the locals here who see it as a kind of revived landmark in this place, or Mimi and Jimmy for that matter, who have been through the emotional mill to get here and who are now renewing their relationship with this place. Oh, and there's another reason why it's not a folly, or at least not any longer, because it was built for part-time use, sort of on a whim. And now, for the first time in 250 years, the first time since it was built, it has a meaningful purpose. It's got a job to do.
We have this visual, which is the house that was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
In the film?
Yeah, it's become a bit of an obsession.
Stop there, stop there, stop there.
Who designed something like this, eh? Absolutely nuts.
We need to get the bloody thing finished. We need somewhere to live.
That represents the ambition of a delusional optimist.
But maybe ego got the better of us, or it maybe got the better of me. We have had one quote for 80.